And today we will be going over the star of the show, no other than Tanjiro himself. Also, the most annoying, brattiest freaking kid, water wheel spamming ass mother. Welcome back to another episode of breaking down these characters. As I mentioned, today we will be going into a breakdown of Water Tanjiro in this game. How effective is he? What are his combos like? Will this be someone you can use? Now, there are many factors about this variation of Tanjiro that makes him top tier in the game, but there are also many weaknesses that prevent him from being overpowered compared to other characters. But before we get into this, if you guys are new here, make sure you smash that subscribe button, because if you're not smashing that subscribe button, then you won't be smashing in the game. That was corny as hell, man. Let's just roll into it. Alright, starting off with the special attacks that Tanjiro has to offer, we're gonna go into the most basic one, the Waterfall Basin. We're gonna go into that water wheel. And then last but not least, we're gonna go into the Whirlpool. So starting with the Waterfall Basin, it's a basic knock your opponent down into the ground attack. There's some time before your opponent falls to the ground, which will lead you to be able to do some combos after that, which is pretty good. So then you have everyone's favorite, the water wheel. As you can see why. The range on this is very good. The damage on it is very good as well if you hit it from the start. The water wheel is good to start off combos, but there's a con to it, and it's after you do the water wheel, there's no room for you to be able to continue doing that combo because of how far you're pushing your opponent back with the water wheel. And last but not least, you have your Whirlpool. This will be very effective in the end of your combos because of the hitbox range and because of the fact that you knock your opponent so far in the air, you're unable to continue combos after that. Now, getting into the normal attacks Tanjiro has to offer, you have your neutral attacks, and then you have your air attacks, which you could already see the problem with that. The problem with Tanjiro and some of his combos is that sometimes you'll have the opponent fall back too far. For example, if you have them at the edge of the map, they'll fall out of your hitbox area, and then they can get up and recover and then counter attack you right there. Tanjiro is a character that's not very airborne compared to someone like Shinobu in the last video. So what that means is that you're gonna have a hard time starting combos or trying to continue your combos once you see that your opponent is in the air and out of your range. To go into a little more depth about that, Tanjiro really only has two things he does in the air. He has his slash, right? And then he has his slash into you, right? So like I was saying before, you guys see what the problem is with that. If someone's out of your hitbox area, you're screwed. They can easily counter you, and then next thing you know, you're in their combos. So keep that in mind when you're doing combos with Tanjiro. Also, one last thing I would like to mention about using Tanjiro and his up combo at the end. It's not very efficient. The reason being is, as you can see, I knocked him too far away from me for me to be able to continue any type of combos, and on top of that, he had a quick recovery before he landed, which is bad because Tanjiro has a long cooldown time after he finishes that attack. So once the opponent quickly recovers, he can just dash into you and continue his attacks. And speaking on the cooldowns of Tanjiro, all his normal attacks are like this. His neutral attack to the side has a long cooldown. His knockdown attacks also has a long cooldown, but that knockdown attack at the end is going to be the best one you use because of the fact that you have a lot of time before your opponent gets up from that, and it gives you time to recover your energies or whatever the skills gauges it's called. Now, with all that being said, what makes Tanjiro so good is not only the damage that he's outputting, but how easy it is to do these combos with him. I believe Tanjiro is a great character for people who are just getting into the game to use because you have a great balance of attack and defense while using this character. What I mean by that is the damage output that Tanjiro has is very, very good. If it's not the top in this game, it's definitely one of the top 5. So to show you what that looks like, I'll do one of my favorite combos. So that combo right there just put out 3,904 damage. One thing I forgot to mention in my last video with Shinobu is this damage output will not always be the same. It also depends on the type of character you're going up against. For example, Shinobu, as I mentioned, is one of the weakest characters in this game, meaning she will take a lot of damage. But anyways, getting back to that combo is one of my favorites to do. You use 3 meters on that, And what you do is you do attack, attack, water wheel into a waterfall, right? So remember what I mentioned before, the water wheel range will push the opponent back too far for you to be able to do anything. So instead of letting the water wheel finish, you're gonna cancel that into your waterfall, right? And what that waterfall is gonna do is gonna stun your opponent for a few seconds before he gets knocked down to the floor. So that gives you time to rush into him with your neutral attacks again, right? And then you're gonna do the same thing, attack, attack, but you're gonna finish it with a waterfall. And if you land that combo right there, that will easily drain almost half of your opponent's life, which is great. You didn't really have to work so much for it, and you still got 2 meters to use after that. Now getting into that same combo except with a different ending, maybe you don't have all the meters that you could use, so you can still do the attack, attack, water wheel into waterfall, and then you just keep attacking, but you finish it with a knockdown at the end. That right there will give you a decent amount of damage, and on top of that, it gives you time to recover your meters. Now there are many other combos that I've seen people do. For example, I've seen people after they get into the waterfall, they jump and then they continue their attacks. But for me personally, I find that very hard and annoying to do, because sometimes you just jump too high and you can't reach with Tanjiro on the hit. So it's kind of a hit and miss for me, but maybe that's something you can hit all the time and you find it easy. Now 2 things I forgot to mention. Tanjiro's heavy attack, definitely something you want to use because the range on it is very, very good, as you can see, and then you can continue your combos and still put out 3000 damage. Now as far as Tanjiro's throw, it's a hit or miss with it. As you can see, it's not very good in range, but once you do hit it, it does do a good amount of damage. You get 1600 damage just by doing a throw. So try to throw that at the end of your combos. It'll definitely be a good way to add more damage already to what you have. And last but not least, guys, the ultimate. Tanjiro's ultimate range is so good. You can hit it from honestly a mile away. That's what I feel like. What I like to do is, if I see I have an opportunity to end my opponent, I usually do my ultimate after the waterfall. And reason being is, I'm telling you guys, that stun period that your opponent is just standing there gives you opportunity to do a lot. It gives you opportunity to continue your combos. It gives you opportunity to grab your opponent if you have no skills. It gives you opportunity to do an ult. So with all that being said about Tanjiro, what do you guys think? Is this someone you want to use? I know I may have missed a lot of things. There's probably 5 million other combos out there that people have discovered. Like I mentioned before, this is something based purely off my own experience. But if you guys have any thoughts, any suggestions you want to tell me, make sure you leave them in the comments. And to wrap it up, I'm going to show you guys some gameplay from some ranked matches that I was playing with this water Tanjiro. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know, who should I do next? I'll catch you guys in the next one.
そこまで